Have you ever noticed that the nicer you are, the more people seem to take you for granted? That the more you bend, compromise, or try to please, the less respect you actually receive. It's a strange paradox. Kindness doesn't always earn admiration, and generosity doesn't always earn gratitude. In fact, being too nice can quietly erode your influence, diminish your presence, and chip away at the power you didn't even realize you had. You give, you accommodate, you adjust. And slowly, without noticing, people start expecting it, taking it for granted, and even walking over you. What if this hidden dynamic has been shaping your life all along? What if your desire to be liked has been quietly limiting your authority, your voice, and your ability to lead your own life? Today, we're diving into a truth most people avoid because it's uncomfortable, even confronting. It's not about becoming cold or ruthless. It's about understanding the balance between kindness and strength, generosity and boundaries, empathy and self-respect. By recognizing this, you can reclaim your influence, regain the respect you deserve, and live life on your terms. And once you see it clearly, nothing about the way you interact with people, the choices you make, or the way you assert yourself will ever feel the same again. Being nice is often celebrated as a virtue, a sign of morality, or a mark of character. Society tells us that politeness, generosity, and accommodating others are always admirable, but the truth is far more complex. When niceness becomes a habit of constant compliance, it can silently turn into weakness. It stops inspiring respect and starts inviting exploitation. People begin to expect it, take it for granted, and even manipulate it to serve their own interests. True respect is rarely granted to those who always say yes, avoid conflict, or put everyone else before themselves. Respect, influence, and authority come to those who understand the delicate balance between kindness and strength. It comes to those who set clear boundaries, act with unwavering integrity, and stand firm, even if doing so makes them appear unpopular for a moment. It comes to those who recognize that being kind does not mean being a doormat. Understanding this subtle but critical difference is the first step toward reclaiming your personal power. Once you grasp it, your interactions change. Your confidence grows. And slowly, people stop taking you for granted, they start seeing the weight, the discipline, and the strength behind your character, and they cannot ignore it. Being genuinely kind is one of the most powerful traits a person can possess. True kindness carries patience, empathy, and quiet authority. But there is a dangerous line that many people cross without realizing it, confusing kindness with weakness. When you constantly accommodate, avoid conflict, or bend to please others at the expense of your own values, your generosity can be misread. Instead of inspiring respect, it can invite manipulation. People start to test your boundaries, push your limits, and take advantage of your good nature. They unconsciously adjust their behavior based on how much they think they can get from you. Respect is rarely given to someone who never pushes back, never speaks their truth, or never asserts themselves. It is earned by those who are willing to stand firm, even when it makes them unpopular, even when it creates tension, and even when it is uncomfortable. Niceness without limits is like water without a container, it has no shape, no direction, and no force. Left unchecked, it flows wherever others demand, filling every empty space but achieving nothing meaningful. It becomes diffuse, taken for granted, and invisible. True influence, however, is like water shaped by a vessel, it can move powerfully, carve paths, and shape the world around it without losing its essence. When kindness is guided by boundaries, discipline, and self-respect, it transforms from a passive trait into a force that cannot be ignored. People stop seeing you as someone they can easily bend to their will, instead, they see someone with deliberate presence, quiet confidence, and unshakable authority. Mastering this balance is not about becoming cold, harsh, or unfeeling. It is about understanding that your energy, attention, and effort are precious, and they must be directed with intention. Being firm, setting limits, and speaking your truth does not diminish your kindness, it amplifies it. It makes people notice it, respect it, and even seek it. Kindness guided by strength becomes magnetic, commanding, and enduring. It separates those who are truly powerful in character from those who are simply agreeable. When you embrace this truth, you reclaim your influence, regain control over your interactions, and live life on your terms, where your good nature is never mistaken for weakness, and your presence is always felt, valued, and respected. Trying to make everyone happy is one of the quietest drains on your energy, and yet it often goes unnoticed, by others and even by yourself. You bend, compromise, and adjust constantly, hoping for approval, gratitude, or affection, only to find that much of your effort is invisible or unappreciated. The time, energy, and attention you give away to please everyone are resources that could have been invested in yourself, in your growth, and in the people who actually deserve it. Every yes you give, when it is not aligned with your own values or needs, is a small surrender of your power. Over time, this pattern quietly teaches the world that your priority is everyone else, and in doing so, it teaches them to expect it. Constantly bending to others' desires sends a signal louder than words: I value you more than I value myself. And respect cannot survive in that imbalance. Real respect is not born from endless accommodation or superficial agreeableness. It emerges where boundaries are clearly drawn, where personal standards are upheld, and where action aligns with principle. People naturally gravitate toward those who know their worth, who do not compromise their integrity for temporary comfort, and who speak and act with quiet authority. The paradox is simple: the more you protect your time, energy, and values, the more others begin to respect and honor you. Comfort may feel easier in the short term, but respect, influence, and lasting authority are built where boundaries exist, not where you endlessly chase the approval of others. Every yes you give when you truly mean no comes at a hidden cost, one that accumulates quietly over time. Each compromise chips away at your self-respect, subtly weakening your sense of authority over your own life. People begin to assume you are always available, always accommodating, and always secondary to their needs. They no longer see your kindness as a strength, they see it as convenience, something to be used rather than cherished. And once convenience becomes the expectation, respect begins to vanish. Your generosity, once admired, becomes taken for granted. Your patience, once appreciated, becomes assumed. What was once a conscious choice gradually turns into a silent surrender of your power. This is why boundaries are not optional, they are essential. Saying no when you mean it does not make you selfish or unkind, it makes you deliberate, disciplined, and respected. True influence is not built on perpetual agreement or people-pleasing, it is built on clarity, consistency, and self-respect. When you align your actions with your intentions, every yes you give carries weight and meaning, and every no reinforces the value of your presence. Over time, this practice transforms the way others perceive you, no longer as someone endlessly pliable, but as someone reliable, principled, and worthy of genuine respect. In this balance between generosity and firmness lies the quiet authority that others cannot ignore. Respect is never given for the sake of approval. It is earned through integrity. When your actions are motivated only by a desire to avoid conflict, gain praise, or make others happy, you may be liked temporarily, but you will rarely be respected. Approval is fleeting, conditional, and shallow, it depends entirely on others' moods and perceptions. Integrity, on the other hand, is timeless and self-reinforcing. When you stand firm in your values, even when it risks disappointment or discomfort, you demonstrate a quiet strength that others cannot ignore. People may resist it at first, they may feel challenged or uncomfortable, but over time, admiration naturally follows. Integrity is visible, palpable, and undeniable. It speaks louder than words, louder than compromise, louder than constant agreeableness. True respect comes to those who act consistently, deliberately, and courageously in alignment with their principles. It is not built by saying yes to everyone or softening your stance to be liked. It is built by being reliable, honest, and unwavering in the way you conduct yourself, even when no one is watching. When people see that you do not bend for convenience, that your decisions reflect conviction rather than submission, they instinctively recognize your value. This is the power of integrity, it transforms kindness from weakness into influence, generosity from obligation into choice, and presence from mere visibility into authority. In a world where approval is constantly sought but rarely earned, standing firm in your principles is the single greatest pathway to lasting respect. Here's a harsh truth that many people avoid: the nicer you are without limits, the more likely others will try to take advantage of you. Endless agreeableness is often mistaken for weakness, and people unconsciously test boundaries, pushing further until they discover what they can extract from you without consequence. Your kindness, generosity, and patience are powerful traits. But when left unguarded, they can attract those who are not interested in who you are, only in what you can give. What begins as goodwill can quickly become exploitation, and your energy, attention, and effort can be drained by people who never intended to reciprocate. Boundaries are not acts of cruelty, they are the practical demonstration of self-respect. Saying no when necessary, standing firm in your values, and protecting your time and energy do not make you cold. They make you deliberate, disciplined, and respected. When your kindness is guided by limits, it transforms from something that can be taken for granted into something that commands acknowledgement. People learn that you are not endlessly malleable, that your presence has value, and that your generosity is a choice, not an expectation. Niceness combined with boundaries is magnetic, it earns respect, preserves energy, and transforms influence from passive to undeniable. Those who understand this truth quietly gain authority, maintain integrity, and move through life without being exploited, while still remaining genuinely kind. Saying no is one of the quietest yet most powerful skills you can cultivate. A single, confident no carries weight beyond the words themselves. It communicates to the world that you have standards, that your time is valuable, and that your energy is not a resource to be taken lightly. Every no is a declaration of self-respect, a boundary drawn in the sand, and a subtle reminder that your life has direction and purpose. While it may sting in the moment, may cause discomfort, or even draw resistance from those accustomed to endless agreement, the long-term effect is profound. It builds respect, credibility, and influence in ways 1,000 thoughtless yes never could. The power of saying no lies not in rejection itself, but in the clarity and confidence behind it. People quickly learn to recognize your limits, and in doing so, they begin to value your presence more deeply. When you speak with intention, each refusal becomes a demonstration of principle, not obstinacy. Over time, this creates a reputation that cannot be ignored, one of reliability, integrity, and quiet authority. Saying no is not about being harsh or unkind, it is about being deliberate, disciplined, and true to yourself. It is a skill that protects your energy, preserves your focus, and ensures that every commitment you make carries meaning, impact, and respect. Sometimes, the strongest statement you can make is made without a single word. Not reacting, not bending, not rushing to explain yourself can carry more weight than any argument, debate, or persuasion. Silence, when paired with a firm presence, communicates confidence, strength, and self-control in a way that words often cannot. It signals that your actions, your principles, and your character speak for themselves. In a world obsessed with noise, opinions, and constant justification, choosing to remain silent is a form of mastery. It shows that you do not seek validation, approval through the chatter of others. When you stop chasing recognition through words, your influence shifts from fleeting impressions to lasting authority. People begin to notice what you do, not what you say. They notice consistency, integrity, and deliberate action. Your silence becomes a signal that you are unshakable, deliberate, and present. It forces reflection in others, commands respect, and subtly asserts your power without arrogance. Mastering this quiet strength transforms interactions, shifts dynamics, and establishes a presence that is both commanding and calm. In this stillness lies influence, in restraint lies authority, and in the absence of constant explanation lies the unmistakable weight of true character. You cannot pour respect from an empty cup. If you constantly sacrifice your own dignity, compromise your standards, or bend to please others simply to be liked, you silently teach the world that it is acceptable to undervalue you. People take the space you give them, the energy you offer freely, and the patience you extend without limits, and often, they do not stop to appreciate it. Your time, your attention, and your values are not endless resources, they are precious, and how you protect them directly shapes how others perceive you. True respect always begins internally, it is first given to yourself, and only then reflected outward. Your life is your canvas, and no one else should be allowed to paint over it. Protect your energy, your priorities, and your principles as fiercely as you would defend a masterpiece. When you uphold your own dignity consistently, you create invisible boundaries that others cannot ignore. You demonstrate through action, not words, that your presence is valuable, your choices matter, and your standards are non-negotiable. Self-respect is the foundation upon which external respect is built. Without it, influence, authority, and personal power remain fragile. Once you learn to value yourself above fleeting approval, everything else aligns, your relationships, your work, and the way the world responds to your presence. The goal is never to become harsh, unkind, or cold. It is to become strategically nice. True strength does not lie in endless agreeableness, nor in relentless compliance. It lies in the ability to be kind, generous, and respectful while simultaneously maintaining your boundaries, protecting your energy, and saying no when necessary. This balance is subtle, deliberate, and powerful. It signals to the world that your kindness is not a weakness to exploit, but a conscious choice, an intentional expression of your character. People sense it instinctively, a presence that is generous yet unwavering commands attention, admiration, and, most importantly, respect. Being nice with boundaries transforms not only how others see you, but also how you see yourself. It frees you from the invisible chains of obligation, guilt, and expectation, allowing you to act from purpose rather than compulsion. When your actions are guided by both compassion and principle, you create influence without aggression, authority without intimidation, and presence without arrogance. People are naturally drawn to those who can give without losing themselves, who can support without sacrificing integrity, and who can maintain warmth while standing firm. That is the essence of true power, kindness and strength coexisting, creating a magnetic force that inspires respect, loyalty, and lasting impact. Imagine transforming your life from being the perpetual yes person, always bending, always accommodating, always drained by others' expectations, to someone who commands respect effortlessly without needing to demand it. You stop giving your energy away blindly and start living by your own standards, guided by principle, purpose, and self-respect. Every decision, every action, and every interaction becomes intentional rather than reactive. Over time, this shift creates a presence that others cannot ignore, a quiet authority that is felt even before a word is spoken. You become someone whose calm, clarity, and discipline speak louder than compliance ever could. People naturally begin to notice the difference. They see someone who is generous yet unshakable, kind yet firm, empathetic yet unwavering. They sense that your respect is not granted lightly, and because of that, it is valued deeply. The influence you gain is effortless because it is built on integrity, consistency, and inner strength, not on fear, obligation, or superficial agreement. You no longer chase approval, you embody standards that naturally attract admiration and respect. In this transformation, you move from being easily taken for granted to becoming unstoppable, a force of calm power that inspires others to rise to meet you, rather than expect you to fall to theirs. Are you ready to stop being too nice and start commanding the respect you deserve for who you truly are? This isn't about becoming harsh, cold, or unkind, it's about standing firm in your values, protecting your energy, and acting with quiet authority. Your boundaries are not barriers, they are the blueprint of your power, the invisible lines that define your influence, and the standards that make people take you seriously. I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments which boundaries you struggle to enforce, which situations test your self-respect, and where you feel your kindness has been taken for granted. Let's start a conversation about strength, discipline, and respect. Sharing your experience isn't just for others to learn from, it's a step toward reinforcing your own principles and holding yourself accountable. Your voice, your actions, and your boundaries matter. And together, we can explore how to move from being too nice to truly unstoppable. Kindness without limits teaches people how to take from you, boundaries without fear teach them how to honor you. If you found this video valuable, please like, follow, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments section. Your support helps this message reach those who need it most.